I'm Dr. Laura Gifford. The results that we have gotten in this place clinically have been astounding. We need to eat food that's real. Ditch the sugars and the grain. Fat doesn't make you fat. Fat does not cause heart disease. You literally are what you eat. Let's talk about insulin and where it comes from and what happens in the body.
I'm Dr. Jillian Murphy. This is definitely not what I was taught in school. This is what I thought that food should be able to do for people. There's that old adage, you are what you eat, but you really actually are what you digest. The ultimate health combination is vegetables plus protein plus healthy fat. Cholesterol gets such a bad rap. All of our sex hormones come from cholesterol.
Healthy poop versus not so healthy poop. Any questions about that?
I'm Michelle McAlpin. 80% of our body composition is based on what we eat. Move frequently at a slow pace. Lift heavy things. Resistance training. It's not too late. You can put muscle mass on at any age. You really don't need weights or machines. Posture is really, really important.
If it comes from a factory and has an ingredients list, it's not whole food. It's not the way nature intended it. And you'd be amazed. We are abundant the amount of food we actually have that comes from the earth or roams the earth. That's really what we're designed to eat.
Practical paleo.
Oh, that's so good.
It's chocolate and bacon and sea salt and macadamia nuts. So I was like, oh, there's the chocolate.
Yeah, it's a nice treat. Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna pass it over to Jill. You probably can't read this, but Jill and I were kind of talking about this today because my second daughter, she still has some gut issues and stuff like that. And like all of us, like so many people we see now, like they've eaten up until they've changed their diet, they've eaten badly, yet they change their diet and then, a month, 2 months, 6 months, they're like so much healthier. Like we have an opportunity all the time. Like we can't stress about having a week of unhealthy eating or a month, or the body is resilient and can constantly heal, and no matter what you've done up to today, there's always an opportunity to get healthier and healthier and get better. And this is one of the reasons why, is that every 35 days your skin replaces itself, your liver about a month, your body makes these new cells from food that you eat. So what you eat literally becomes you. You have a choice in what you're made of. You are what you eat. You literally are what you eat, right? If you're exercising and doing all these strength things and you're not eating protein, you're not going to put muscle. Like you need these building blocks in nutrition. So your cells are regenerating themselves. So you always have an opportunity to be healthier and change affect your genetics with the epigenetics and all that sort of stuff. So, all right, Jill, I'll pass it on to you.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is some diet deconstruction stuff, and we brought this into the lecture series last time and people aren't really struggling so much this time, but we brought it in last time as a troubleshooting tool. So there was a lot of people coming back saying, like, I'm constipated, or I'm craving incessantly, or I'm starving all the time, or whatever it happens to be. And there's no way for us to really figure out what's going on unless we take a look at the diet, like what they're actually eating. It's one thing to hand somebody a list and say, eat this, but like unless I really know what they're eating, I can't really give any insight. And so we started gathering diets and deconstructing them a bit. And so we'll go through some of the old ones, and then we have some of the ones that you guys handed in. And I think what will be helpful in it is to also just see the process of like this really quick, simple tool that I just started doing in my office to show people kind of like what their diet looks like. And you could do it with anyone. So you don't need to be a nutritionist, you don't need to know how to count calories, you don't need to know serving sizes. Basically all you really need to know, and I think Laura's probably talked about it before, is that when we talk about paleo or primal eating, kind of the magic combination, like the ultimate health combination, is vegetables plus protein plus healthy fat. And then there's other add-ons like dark chocolate and coffee and
wine.
Even too many nuts, cheese, like there's these little things that are fruit even, these little things that make our lives more enjoyable, they make them more fun. But if you really want to see, why your skin is breaking out or why you're constipated or why you're craving all the time, then let's break it down and look at what you're actually eating and how much of that magic combination you're actually getting every day. So essentially what happens is someone will bring in a diet like this. So this is 3 days. And this was someone from last lecture series, and they were just starting out, so they were just like dabbling their feet into primal paleo eating, but they were still making the transition, so they were still eating some of the things that they would have
Or clearly
always
didn't listen to the
eaten. Or
lectures.
didn't listen. We're not sure which. So the first thing I do, and you know, normally I would do this would be on a piece of paper, and I grab a couple different colors of highlighters, and it's great because in the end, I mean, you're highlighting things that are not sort of part of the core part of the diet. And so by the time you finish your highlighting, you're left with, you know, how much of the page isn't highlighted is what you're supposed to be eating. So it's a really good visual tool. For here, we've just sort of used different colors. But the first thing I do is highlight anything that's not really primal or paleo at all, right? So right away, anything that's green is not really paleo. And the drinking of the milk, this was an adult, and I don't really encourage drinking of milk anyway, and this was it, I can't remember if it was 2%, I think was the other reason. Yeah. Like cream I probably would have left alone, I probably wouldn't have touched it, but right. Yeah, like drinking milk, we just sort of took it out. So that's the first thing, is I just take a color and highlight anything that just, you know, like I have people come in and they'll have pudding cups or a Coke, you know, it just like slipped into their diet, you know, but let's you know, Twizzlers, let's call it what it is, you know, it's not part of the diet at all. And then the second part is a little bit more nitpicky, and so I don't want anybody to get overwhelmed by it, because it's not about saying you shouldn't eat these foods, it's about identifying the accessory foods and identifying if the accessory foods have become the main staple in the diet or if they're accessory foods, okay? So then I take another color and I start to highlight things that might not be part of the core part of the diet. So if we think about the core part of the diet being vegetables, healthy fat, and animal protein, we're starting to see a lot of nuts. Green tea latte probably has sugar and milk in it. I mean, I'm not 100% sure, but probably. There's chocolate-covered almonds, cheese. Again, this one was a little bit nitpicky, and I think it was because there was a lot of sugar cravings. Yeah, I think this because there was a lot of sugar cravings here, so we were also highlighting things that tend to just be higher in sugar. But like, you know, we're just highlighting fruit, we're highlighting alcohol, we're highlighting pumpkin pie filling, we're highlighting things that are, you know, technically allowed on the diet, but are not part of that core. And so you can see what's left. You know, on Saturday, salmon with mustard, green beans, carrots, and tomatoes. There's only sort of like one main core meal on that day that's exactly what we want to see, right? And again, we're getting on the Sunday, it's like turkey. We would have left we would have left the root vegetables. That's totally fine. And this beet salad, I don't know why they're highlighted, but you know, this person's not eating nearly enough food. There's like no food here.
That's a meal. That's, to me,
like that's a meal. Yeah, let alone a whole day's worth of food. So they're not eating nearly enough food, and they're not eating nearly enough vegetables, protein, and healthy fat in the form of like avocados, olive oil, coconut oil. You know, they're not getting nearly enough of that. So again, it just starts to like help you be able to troubleshoot if they're having issues. If they feel great on this, they feel great. You know, fine.
What's wrong with the sweet potatoes?
Nothing. We were just saying it shouldn't have been.
It's a mistake.
Yeah.
Yeah, and nothing wrong. Go back to the sec. The other thing
Like
I remember, there's nothing wrong with the sweet potatoes, the root vegetables, dried cranberries for sure, but the beet salad with carrots,
Fine. Yeah.
That's all fine. You know.
But I do highlight fruit because, again, and it's not the case here, but there's lots of times where someone will come in and their diet will be like an apple with almond butter, an apple with almond butter, fruit salad, a smoothie. Like it's like fruit is the whole day, and that's a really easy way to try. You know, this is why you're craving sugar all day because you're eating sugar all day. You know, so not that fruit is bad, not that it's not allowed, because it is,
and it's good for you.
Yeah, and it's good for you. This is just a troubleshooting sort of. A way to look at the diet. So another diet. This was a person who was in the challenge last time who was really constipated. She was really constipated, like for most of the beginning of the challenge. So, well, if we just go through, when we look at it, everything here is technically primal or paleo, right? So there's nothing here that's technically not allowed on the diet. And then we go through and start to look at things that might be contributing, like highlighting those accessory foods. And you can see there's a ton of cheese and nuts in here. That's basically The majority of what this person was eating was tons of tons of cheese and tons of nuts. So it was really easy to sort of, you know, say, okay, you got to cut the cheese down, you got to cut the nuts down, and let's get the vegetables and the protein.
And there was no vegetables. Like, look at day one. The only vegetables are carrots, a tomato.
That's it.
That's it. That's very little of it, and very little fiber. Very little. There's no
Like
fiber.
no soluble fiber.
There's no soluble. There's no fiber, really. Yeah.
So if we eat, I eat a lot of nuts, so I should cut
Yeah.
a little bit.
If it's excessive, again, it's hard to say. Like, I have to take a look
I
at.
could take 1 cup of nuts per day.
Like maybe try and cut it in half.
Well, again, is it causing you problems? Are you feeling good? Are you know, are your bowel movements good? You should watch the lecture from last week, which you unfortunately missed. But like, are your bowels good? How's your energy? How's your digestion? How's your
Because
skin?
nuts in particular will cause like digestive issues.
Yeah.
When they're like it's too much fat and they're too hard to break down if they're in big amounts. So people will know. I mean, they might not know it's the nuts, but you'll know if you're having an issue. You know, yeah.
And that's where the individuality comes in, right? You know.
So that was the major thing we talked about with her was because even though you know we don't want people overeating fruit, like there was even hardly any of that. Like there's like no vegetables and very, very minimal fruit. So in terms of constipation, it's like a cheese and nuts with hardly any fruit or vegetables. So it's a matter of just sort of shifting that balance a little bit. This one's a little bit harder to sort of break.
This is a new one. This is us.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Okay, so this is a new one that was handed in.
I don't know. You guys are probably comfortable saying whose it is. I don't know.
Yeah.
If you don't want us to, we don't have to, but it'll come out.
I love this. Yeah. So the one thing that we noticed with this diet overall was that it seemed like there was like not enough food. I feel like you could eat more.
Well, this was a weekend that we squeezed in a lot of organizing the garage in between soccer, so it was just kind of like up at 7 in the garage.
Yeah, going. But again, I think it's a really, like what Jill and I said, like let's use this example as like your Saturday. Let's just, look at Saturday.
So this was just
It's
anything
not
that was,
nearly enough food.
yeah.
You could eat that for breakfast.
What you're
everything
eating is
that day.
great though. Like what you're eating is really good. Like so we highlighted a few things just because you're still having a bit of sugar in your coffee. Like whatever. Not that big of a deal.
Would you recommend stevia instead?
Yeah. For people who like it.
it.
Yeah. It's sometimes a weird taste. I find it almost like chemically tasting.
Yeah.
I don't know. If you like it, fine. Is this it continued? No, this is
So the
like
second one was the things that aren't paleo foods.
Right. The
Not
foods
just
that are
paleo. They're good.
the extras or the accessory foods. So again, like when you look at this, Lisa's actually eating really good food. Like overall, there's lots of vegetables, there's lots of protein, there's good healthy fat. It just like, if anything, you could maybe eat a little more. But otherwise it looks really, really good. But sometimes that's just it. Like sometimes you have to feed your body a bit more to get your metabolism going. And that happens a lot.
I've lost shape-wise,
Mhm.
like my
Yeah,
belt.
in your face.
Yeah.
And my belt's gone another loop, and I feel less pudgy in here. So
And
I feel good.
and you're getting to exercise how many times a week? Once or twice?
Twice I didn't.
Perfect.
But
Perfect.
No,
But that's
sorry,
good.
We did once here and once at home.
Mm-hmm. Like it would be good to lose more weight, to get your metabolism going. It's like hard workouts and eat more of the right things. Yeah.
And this is where we could talk to you a little bit about the first thing in the morning, like the amount of protein that we should be eating.
Yeah,
first thing
go
in the
ahead. Do you
morning.
wanna
Like in the morning, we should be striving within an hour of waking up to eat about 30 grams of protein, which is a lot. And there's a good, I can actually put it on Facebook, maybe, or have Catherine do it. There's a good link if you want to know, like if you really want to get anal about how much protein you're eating. But if you think you're eating enough, just eat a little bit more protein.
Like an egg is like 5 grams.
Yeah,
of
there's
protein.
not very much.
So
A can of tuna is 40. I think. Like it's really
like
high.
a chicken breast would be like 25 grams of protein. So like a chicken
But 30
breast
grams of protein is a lot.
is getting you close, you know. But it's hard to get enough protein in the morning, and I don't know if I
You're
talked
talking 5
about
eggs, which is insane. Right?
Yeah.
Like, who's going to eat that?
Yeah, but like, and I think I talked about this before though, is that it's really important to get that blood sugar under control first thing in the morning, because it keeps you more steady through the whole day, and it's off in the morning, it throws you off for the whole day. But for losing weight, that's what Rob Wolf's recommendation is,
Yeah,
right?
30 grams of protein within an hour, half an hour to an hour of waking up. Really get on that protein and get it.
That helps you lose weight.
It just helps your it gets your metabolism going, and it gets all your insulin all set for the day and all that sort of stuff. But you need to eat more.
Yeah.
It's just.
But overall, your like food choices look really good.
Yeah, you're getting there, and that's like really good for your inflammation, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But you have, even though and I think the big thing of weight loss is don't weigh yourself on the scale, because you look different, your face is different, you're I don't know if I've lost weight in 2 years, but it's more the shape.
There's no doubt I feel better, like since doing this, like the eczema's gone, body aches are gone.
Your body cares more about that sort of stuff
And
first,
and
right?
energy is great, like I can't, but I still.
And this is the thing, but this is the thing I talk about every single day in my office with people, right? Is that you have to decide, I think, at some point what you're devoted to, right? And you have to commit to that devotion religiously, that's why I use the word devoted, for a long period of time. And so a lot of times people come in and it's like, we just have been fed this quick fix idea, right? Like we're fed it every single day, that if you do this in 3 weeks, you'll drop this amount of pounds, or if you do this, you'll drop it. And when you're changing your body composition, it just doesn't really work like that. It doesn't happen. And so what does happen though is that there'll be this laundry list of great things that are happening, and they get totally negated the minute someone steps on the scale and weight hasn't changed. I've done it myself. Like, it's such a destructive thing to like ignore eczema gone, stomach feeling better, aches and pains gone, because the scale hasn't changed. Like, it's logically, you can see how it's such a ridiculous thing, and yet women do it every single day, men I'm sure too. I tend to see more women, but so at some point I just the past month, I guess, I've been encouraging people to sort of step away from the weight loss goal and decide that you're going to be devoted to this because you want to feel better and you want to be better. And I need a long-term commitment. Like I need a 6-month commitment, not a 3-week commitment, sort of like encourage people to start with a 3-week commitment. But if you really want to go somewhere, you have to keep going and not self-destruct because you stepped on a scale,
Yeah, because the changes have been so good. Like I don't
Yeah,
have any temptation, like, the birthday party was pizza and cake, and it's like, no, like I really don't want
It's amazing,
it.
eh?
Like, yeah, you really kind of turned off it, but I don't really, it's not appealing at all, because you do feel so good, and you don't want to wreck it. Like, at that point, like, I really do feel.
And if you think about like, and Jill is the expert in hormones here, but you think of like hormonal changes in your body and stuff like that, like that's a lot of the reason why women carry weight. And if your hormones are off because of how you've been eating, like that's going to take a long time to heal. Like it's, so you could go and do Weight Watchers and lose a ton of weight in 3 weeks, but your eczema would still be there, your pain still, you know what I mean? So as Jill is saying, like, it's,
like even
you're healthier, your body's healing itself first, and then you're going to get to your natural weight.
Because even when we do if I'm working with hormones and doing hormone therapy, like at least 8 to 12 weeks for the body to adjust, and that's with like a medication form of a hormone, as opposed to like trying to shift your hormones in a natural nutritional way. So it's a really good point, So overall, really good food choices here, like really, really good. And like, again, I just want you guys to see the tools. So if you're ever at home and you're wondering if something's going on, it's something really easy that you can do for yourself or for someone else.
Eat that in a day.
Oh, and then we decided to show, Michelle, who runs the classes in the gym. She did this last year. She kept track of 3 days, and we thought it was a good thing to show you because Michelle is lean and fit, and she eats a lot of food. So it's good to go through, like for breakfast, she's having 3 eggs scrambled with tons of vegetables and bacon. For lunch, she's having a big salad topped with leftover homemade burger patties and a good dressing. There's pecans, blue cheese, avocado, like it's a big, huge, like I sort of call them like kitchen sink salads, right? Where everything's thrown in. Apple with almond butter. For dinner, almond flour breaded pork chops with coconut oil, grilled asparagus, homemade coleslaw, and it's like not a small amount. It's like she eats it out of like a Tupperware bin of coleslaw, and then, you know, some dark chocolate dipped in almond butter in the evening. And her days go like that, like, you know, for breakfast the next day, 5
breakfast sausages.
right? And again,
Do you remember how she started though? Because she would only like pretty much, because she would like she loved almond butter when she was introduced to it, and those little mango, like the dried mangoes. And to see that this is what she like, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Wow.
And left, and again, like half an avocado, leftover coleslaw, and it's like a huge amount, you know. And so this is this tiny little girl, and she can go through all this food. So
that's the main reason I wanted to show it. It's just like she's eating 2 burger patties, you know, for dinner. 2.
yeah.
That sort of stuff is, it's great.
And she's having with like a big plate of homemade sweet potato fries and roasted beet chips, and like not afraid to go to the carbs or to the fat or to the whatever when they're within the realm of healthy food. So
I'm never that hungry though.
Yeah.
Like honestly, like if I had that much food in front of me, I'd be like, I'd eat half of that, maybe, and then be like, I feel full.
Yeah.
I'm gonna be sick if I eat more than this.
Yeah. And I think that's, well, you can get started.
it's metabolism issue.
Yeah, exactly. You gotta
So
get that
you
protein
need to get
in the morning.
exercising more,
And
and
get
that's what I usually
exercising more.
recommend. And I've been talking about exercise with people kind of like obsessively in the past few weeks as sort of like an activity that sort of grounds you and sort of encourages you to live better overall. Even if it's not a major factor in weight loss, it affects so many other things. And then I was reading this blog on changing habits. This guy's written this book on changing habits, and he talks about changing bad habits into good habits and creating new good habits. And one of the things he talks about are keystone habits, he calls them. And exercise is one of them, because exercise has been shown through research to affect everything. And so again, if you want your appetite to increase, like get out there, get exercising. It's going to increase your metabolism. It's going to make you want to.
And you do want your appetite to increase because you've got to your body needs nutrients, right? Like you do need, like humans need to eat a fair amount of food.
Like less than 1,200 calories a day, even of all good food, is going to be almost impossible to get the nutrients you need on a daily basis. So like 1,500 would be better, 1,800 would be better in terms of nutrition. Most people are getting like 2,200 calories, but there's very little nutrition in it, right? But even if you're trying to lose weight, like you need to eat a certain amount of food in order to get all the vitamins and the minerals and the cofactors and, you know, the antioxidants and all the things you need. So yeah, we hear that a lot too. Like I just don't really feel like eating, and it's like, well, okay, to a certain extent, but we need to make sure we're getting enough of the vitamins and minerals, because again, when it comes to weight loss, your metabolism is not going to go forward.
I don't know, I used to exercise a lot and I was never hungry. I've never been a person that's overly hungry. And especially when I was living at home, I'm not living at home now, but my dad doesn't eat breakfast. He's never eaten breakfast because it makes him feel sick.
Yeah, that's issues though, right? Like that.
Yeah, and like Tim Ferriss talks about this.
Stuff,
Tim Ferriss talks about this in one of his books too, in the 4-Hour Body, and he talks about it. It often, like, you'll see like, you know, like that typical sort of like really skinny guy, academic, who just doesn't really eat, you know, and he just doesn't really ever feel hungry. And Tim Ferriss is like, you know, if you want to get more muscular, if you want to get stronger, if you want to get healthier, you have to eat. And so he just literally put this guy on a program where he forced him to increase his appetite, and it happened by consistently eating more food. Like not going from 0 to 100, but saying like, okay, I consistently at the very least have to eat breakfast, lunch, dinner. And then he started getting him to increase the amounts that he was eating. And eventually he got there and felt better, you know, but.
And Rob Wolf talks about the same thing with like really obese people. And like the hardest thing is to get them to eat. Because they're not, like he's saying, these people are hungry. They're, you know, 100 pounds overweight, but they cannot, like it's really hard for them to be hungry first thing in the morning. And it's just, it's the way, you just gotta do it. Like you've gotta get that nutrition in your body. Your body really needs it.
And he talks also about, like we were talking about today, like people being used to being fed food that's almost kind of digested for them. And so forcing your body, because it's so refined and processed, and so forcing your body to eat protein in the morning is a really difficult thing that most people haven't had. Like if you've been eating pastries and cappuccinos for however many years, that requires little to no breakdown it doesn't require a lot of work to break down.
And if you've been depending on not eating and just having coffee, that coffee's getting you going versus your body getting you going, right? Like there's something off there. Like your machine isn't working very well if it's not hungry, it doesn't need to be fed, sort of thing.
Yeah. So not everyone has to eat the same amount, but you should want to at least eat 3 meals a day, whether you want to eat this much or not. Okay, so then we have a couple, these ones are just, we didn't break them down.
We didn't break them
right?
down, so I thought we would just go through them together as a group and people can sort of look at it and start, we can comment on what we see and stuff like that. Yeah. This is one day.
This is Susie's. So this is just one day, yeah. And we only had one day, it was difficult.
No, I did 2. They're all on there.
Okay.
They're just on different times.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we have 3 days, it's just, this is one day. And, if anybody wants to see what they see and.
It's hard to do, it'd be good if we could just highlight right over this. But it looks like it's, I don't know, you guys tell me.
What do people see? Because we wanted you to start being able to look at your own diets and say, okay, look back at a week and sort of see what you see.
Should no fruit.
What's that?
Should no fruit.
Which is okay.
Mm-hmm.
Especially if you're trying to get the sugars under control, right? Fruit. I don't eat very much fruit myself. I do. I eat more in the summer.
Yeah. I see a lot of vegetables, which is great. Like a really good variety, a really good mix. There seems to be a pretty good amount of protein at every meal, which is great. And I'm assuming in your salad in the morning there was dressing or something, because it seems like there's. It would be the one thing that would be missing a little bit maybe would be fat.
Yeah.
That would be the only thing.
The one thing that I didn't put up there that I have been doing since you mentioned it is I've been having a teaspoon of coconut oil.
That's your
every
skin.
morning.
That's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, so that would be the only thing, and that it actually brings up a good point, because a lot of people when they hear talk of the paleo diet, they're often like, oh, it's like a high protein, high fat diet, and our experience is that most people when they switch their eating actually find it hard to get a lot of fat in their diet, because when you're eating a lot of chicken and beef, which has some fat in it for sure, but compared to some of the other foods that people are eating, and your diet's full of fruits and vegetables, often if you were to actually sit down and break down how much fat was in this diet, it would probably be half of what most people would have in the run of a day, right? And most people could actually increase it a little bit more by having spoonfuls of coconut oil, olive oil dressing on things, fish oil helps, if you're taking
some avocados onto all those salads.
Yeah, a little bit of avocado. The pecans are really good. Pecans, that's how to use the nuts, right? That's the perfect way. Yeah,
really good.
Yeah. But overall, this day looks really good, and I think if I remember, all of Susie's days looked quite good. So good protein. This day has a little bit has less vegetables overall, but it looks like a pretty. And how are you feeling? Like you feel?
Good.
Yeah.
Quite good. Except I wish I could shake that glass of red wine every night.
No, but you gotta. That's nice to have.
It's my treat.
Yeah, you gotta have treats.
But I have to on my sheet. I have to keep putting no point.
Yeah, that's
every day because I have a glass of red wine with my son.
I mean, it's always nice to I find take 30 days and clear everything out, and then you gotta live your life. You gotta enjoy yourself, But that's, you're doing great.
The bottom line is, and I used to do this with students in nutrition class too, and go through diets, and then I go through diets that they put together for people, and basically the bottom line was usually add more vegetables, add more healthy fat, and potentially add more food. Those were generally the 3 sweeping things that I would say when they were trying to when they were either reporting back how they were eating, or they were trying to design healthier diets for people. So that looked good. What else? Anything you want to talk about here? I think this day looked really, really, really good too. It looked great. Yeah.
Looks like there's a bit more fat in that day.
Yeah. There's more. There's avocado. There's bacon. There's
Olives.
some herbed butter,
Olives.
olives. Yeah. Again, probably you could have more even. But the coconut oil helps. Yeah.
But I mean, honestly, after I had dinner yesterday, I thought I could have had at least 2 more soul fillets.
Yeah.
And you know what? Like, I remember hearing this guy speak, and he was, it was sort of before I did the whole paleo thing, but he was getting people off sugar and off snacking and off treats. And he's like, if you eat your dinner and you're still hungry, it won't be your problem, but if you're still hungry, have more steak. If you're still hungry after that, have more steak. Have more. You're not going to want vegetables when you're hungry. You know what I mean? He just said, have another piece of steak. So I've always remembered that. Like, if I'm still hungry after dinner, usually it's because it's habitual. I like to have something sweet, but if I'm actually still hungry, I'll have more. I will have more. And so what? So you have 4 pieces of fish. Like, humans probably gorged themselves and then had days where they didn't eat anything. You know, and really, the human bodies can handle that for sure. So if you're hungry, eat. It's good for you, and it's good, wholesome food and nutrient dense. You're probably craving something that that you need.
And then I think there's just one more slide, and that's it. And this is, well, you can talk about it if you want to. If not, we don't have to. I didn't look too closely at this one, so let's go through it. And you guys, actually, I think I remember thinking that this was a pretty good, well balanced.
Yeah.
And I think it was just the same general recommendations overall, which possibly a few more vegetables, but it's hard to say because I don't know what's in the bolognese sauce. Like, sometimes people puree vegetables into that or chop
It's
them
on
up.
spaghetti squash, right?
It's out of the practical paleo, so it's
And it's on spaghetti squash.
What we've started doing with our spaghetti is at the last bit of it, because we have it on spaghetti squash, or we used your thing and make the zucchini, which was delicious the other night. Like, we just what's it called, Julienne? Like, what's
It's
it?
a julienne peeler
Yeah.
because
Yeah,
it's
like
them. I got
Oh
one.
my gosh, it's just like and then we just fried up the zucchini and then put the spaghetti sauce on top. But we've been adding kale or spinach or something into the spaghetti sauce, just to get more vegetables, more more bang for our buck when we're just doing that.
But yeah, you guys, like, all of your diets, like all the diets that were sent in were overall like of all the challenges and of the times I've gotten people to do them and bring them in. These were for sure the best we've seen. Like, really good, great balance.
Like your lunch there, like 3 boneless, the 3 boneless chicken thighs, wrapped with bacon. Like, that's a fantastic lunch.
Blueberries.
Yeah,
they were really good.
It's a really, really, really good lunch, and that is not overdoing it for lunch. That's a great lunch, and I bet you, like, that afternoon, you were sustained, right?
Yeah.
Like,
No, I don't find I'm hungry.
No, yeah.
I love that idea of, it gives me an idea. I've never had an avocado with a beef burger, and that just sounds really good.
Oh, so
Yeah, it's
good.
good.
Yeah,
It's one of my favorite things are like mashing it up and putting it on. Yeah.
So I think we can
Yes,
talk
that
about
is the
some
burger
different
bun.
ideas for breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
I was just gonna say
Like,
that because one of the things
great
that I
idea.
love seeing, which like we never see, and I don't know if people just keep it out because they don't want to be repetitive, but I actually love seeing that, like, you had spaghetti squash with sauce for dinner and then the next day you had it for lunch, because that's how to make this more doable, right? But we've never seen the leftovers for breakfast, which I do all the time. And that's a really great thing to do for breakfast. Like, in the winter, one of my favorite things for breakfast is like hamburger soup. Like, I make a big pot of it for dinner one night and then we have it for breakfast for a few days, or leftover chicken vegetable soup is a really good breakfast.
Yeah. Yeah, for our family, because we're trying to do this with all 5 of us. We always do, so for lunches for our kids, it's always leftover dinner from the night before. If we have chicken breasts or chicken thighs or whatever, we cook a ton, and then we have, so all of us are eating that. I eat it for breakfast. The kids sort of are still in that sort of breakfasty food mode. They like breakfast food. They don't like chicken thighs for breakfast or anything yet, but hoping when they see me eat it that they'll do that. So
But my kids love it. Like, if I
Yeah.
make broccoli
Yeah.
slaw
Yeah.
and I put in leftover chicken and bacon or whatever and heat it all up, and then I put like guacamole on it, my kids will eat that for breakfast in a heartbeat.
Oh, that sounds good.
yeah.
Amazing. It's so
Another
yummy.
great breakfast is exactly that sort of stuff. Is so ground pork or ground beef or ground lamb or any kind of ground beef. And I love it because breakfast. You almost want like a sweeter kind of thing, or I take a cheese grater, grate sweet potato, onion, fry it up, and then I put the ground beef or whatever in it and just fry it in that. It's a fantastic breakfast. Pete will often put an egg on top. I don't like eggs that much, so
It's like hash.
it's like a hash. It's a hash. It's exactly what it is. Yeah. So
That's
it's
a good idea.
a delicious breakfast, and actually super quick. Like, it really cooks.
And pork chops and
quickly.
applesauce tend to be good in the morning too, because
Yeah,
it's like
yeah.
you have it with applesauce.
they're
so-
cooked.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm trying to think of other quick breakfasts that we make a lot.
I have been having smoothies this week because I've just been kind of like, ugh, like I just don't feel, it's just a week where I don't feel like making breakfast. But it's like coconut milk, sometimes a bit of full fat yogurt. I put coconut oil in it, strawberries, a tiny bit of protein powder, not that much, just a little bit to up the protein, and then a ton of spinach. And it tastes really, really good.
Yeah. Who else has breakfast and lunch ideas and stuff like that? I find dinner's easy, right? Because that's how we sort of traditionally were raised, with that meat and potato, meat and vegetable kind of dinner. And breakfast and other, like pea meal bacon, just like having pea meal bacon. And there's a ton of, if you just look up paleo breakfast, there's just a ton of
Sometimes
ideas.
I was just gonna say, sometimes when I'm sick of cooking, like there was, I can't remember if it was Susie's lunch one day or something where it was kind of just like, you know, like a few slices of meat and some cut up vegetables or whatever. But I'll do that for breakfast too, and I have patients that do that where it's like sliced up half an avocado, blueberries,
Just chunks of
just
stuff,
like just like a plate of
stuff.
and that's nice in the summer too. I think like you don't have to cook.
But again, you do need that protein, right? Like I find
But like leftover turkey or
leftover
chicken or
meat
something.
on there, and just getting that protein in the morning is a.
I find that
zucchini is one of those things that I like to use in the morning, because it kind of adds that, I don't know what it is I like about that squash, but you know, chunks of turkey with zucchini and something else in a stir fry in the pot is
so
a
good.
great thing
And it's
for
quick,
breakfast.
right? Zucchini takes 30 seconds to cook. It was amazing when you just and just shove it with a bunch of butter.
Yeah.
Butter and bacon and zucchini. It's really good. Yes,
Well,
Patrick.
I was in a rush this morning, and at 9 o'clock I had 4 soft-boiled eggs, a can of sardines, and just some raw broccoli out of the crisper. And I went all day, and I was playing with my nieces and nephews, and I went until 4 o'clock, and I had an apple, and then a bag of salad before I came here, and lots of energy all day.
Yeah.
That the coleslaw that was on Michelle's too is really good. Like when you just grate broccoli and cabbage and carrots and all kinds of vegetables, and then put it with some like a homemade mayonnaise or an olive oil mayonnaise and some salad dressing, and it's really good in the morning too. Like Michelle eats it in the morning. I eat it in the morning. I love it. I don't know if you've ever made it. So good.
Yeah.
One thing that I've found is that I eat a lot of eggs.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've always been a person to eat breakfast, but something that I've noticed, and I don't know if this has anything to do with the volume of eggs I'm eating, is that I've noticed that my eyes, the skin around my eyes and my up here,
Like
and
eczema-ish.
they're so incredibly dry and
Yeah.
sore, and I don't know if it's the volume of eggs that I'm
Could
eating
be, yeah.
or what it is.
Mm-hmm.
But I wake up in the morning and I have like alligator eyes, and they're like
Yeah.
even hard to open them
Yeah.
sometimes because they're so incredibly dry.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't know if that was the eggs.
I think
or-
that's a good assessment. Yeah. And I would honestly like back off and get back to like the meat and vegetables, because you're doing really well and you're pretty stable. A lot of people really need those eggs to bridge this, but if you can start doing like some dinner for breakfast and stuff like that, and what's the difference, Jill, when you cook with eggs versus eat eggs?
It's just broken down
It's
more.
broken, yeah, because we do a lot of well, because of the kids, we'll do a lot of baking in that sense. So like we'll make a banana loaf and that sort of stuff, and those eggs don't seem to bother me too much.
Much less reactive.
Yeah.
Yeah, and same with me, like I don't even notice it in baked things, but I have like an aversion sometimes to eggs. Like I always feel like I know I don't really love eggs because they have to be like covered in cheese and wrapped in bacon. And then I'm like, oh, these are delicious. But not really.
So in our family too, you're asking for other, I'm trying to think of other breakfast things like
The fruit with the nut topping is
yeah,
great.
so there's a berry
for
crumble,
kids,
that's really good. Like you just boil up berries, and then in your blender you just mix up any kind of nuts, flax and coconut and walnuts and pecans with butter, and then you just sort of broil it on top, and it's a berry crumble. Not
You're
that
starting with fruit, so you won't crush in the afternoon?
well. It's for the kids. I
Yeah.
don't like it all that much, but you know the kids tend to like it. There's a lot of fat in those nuts and stuff like, and they're berries, so they're not as.
And again, it's not like something we'd recommend every day, but just for like those days where you're like, oh, I just need a
Or
change.
you're like, I
Same
just
with-
can't have breakfast because it's
same like
you open the
coconut,
fridge and
coconut flour pancakes,
Yeah.
or you know,
Well, there's
there's
pumpkin
the pumpkin
pancakes.
pancakes.
They don't have any
Good.
flour at all. They have eggs in them, but it's different.
They're cooked, yeah.
And they're cooked.
So just helpful to have those options.
I tried to make pancakes for the kids. Well, did you make me
It was
flour?
coconut flour, but
It didn't work out.
I
It
used
was
the
the worst
same, like I
science
used a cup
experiment,
of
yeah.
coconut flour.
Oh my God, no.
Yeah, I just
No.
exchanged, and
It
that was
wasn't
You're
the
like,
same.
yeah.
No.
Harold's
They're
just
almost
like,
like, yeah.
You can do that with almond flour. You can like supplement, but just honestly, just look up paleo pancakes. You need a recipe. You gotta follow recipes, yeah, because pumpkin
Didn't
or
even make a good
coconut flour.
craft.
Pardon?
It didn't even make a good craft.
No, I don't think
One
so.
of my, a good craft.
One of my patients.
But there's some great pancake recipes. It just adds something different to the day.
One of my patients bought this for me today, and then
Oh, that's
I
great,
already
but-
have it. So she just said, well, she just wants to leave it here. So that's the other thing. If anybody
Oh, that's
doesn't
great.
own this, she
Yes.
said we can just leave it here, and then there's also like
They've got a new
ideas.
book out,
The
entertaining. No, it's called Gather, and it's about
Oh.
entertaining paleo with all these recipes and stuff like that. So it's just
Yeah, but they always have great ideas. You know. Anyway, they're great. So that's out here.
But if you Google paleo breakfast, oh, we made those nests once. They were good. Like
Yeah.
there's some really good stuff.
Yeah.
in
So that's on the shelf for borrowing as well.
Any other ideas? Does anybody else need any other suggestions? And literally, if you just put paleo in front of anything, it will come up. There are so many recipes like every day. There's just because everyone has a paleo blog and all this sort of stuff, and there's some really good recipes out there for just different things. We just rediscovered pea meal bacon again. You know, like it's just a change, something different from. It's so funny because our whole lives we think we're eating something different because you've had cornflakes, Cheerios, Shreddies, and it feels like you're eating something different every day. But really, it's just cardboard crap. It's the same chemically. It's the same thing. You know, we
Or
do eat
people
the same
actually
thing.
do eat the same thing every day. They just
Same
don't
way.
want to change what they eat. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. But I do. Eggs get tiresome every day. You know, I agree with that. I can't think if there's anything else we wanted to go over.
No, that was it. We just wanted to sort of show the process a little bit. And again, everybody's doing well, so it wasn't so, you know, it wasn't so like, aha, you know. But if you ever are struggling, it's a really quick way to do like a, you know, a quick assessment of where you're at and where you need to be.
And as Jill said,
it lays it out for you pretty quick,
Yeah.
right? Like, yeah.
as you said, it's either you're most likely not eating enough. I think for a lot of people, you're not eating enough. You're definitely probably not getting enough fat or enough protein first thing in the morning, you know, and then the vegetables.
Always add vegetables.
You can always add vegetables. Who watched that video of the of Dr.
Terry
Wall's video? Did anybody watch that? We put it on the Facebook page. You guys should check it out. Like just Google TED Talks Terry Walls, and it's an amazing video. It's about 20 minutes long. It's totally inspiring, but she's 9 cups of vegetables a day. That's a lot. Like I tried to do it and I had it wrong. It was 7 cups and I was trying to do 7 cups and it's just like, oh my God, I can't do it. Like I can't get it all in, but like to get all the, and it's just about making sure we're getting all the nutrients that our body needs to run itself, to function properly. You know, that's why we need the vegetables.
Yeah,
that's what we need to eat is we need stuff in our brains.
I was going to say she's a medical doctor and she was diagnosed with MS and it was just getting worse and worse and worse and worse and worse. So finally she started researching like, what do I need for healthy nerve coverings? What do I need? Like my body's attacking these things. What do I need to make them? And so that's what she realized is if I want to be able to like regenerate the nerve coverings the way I need, this is how much I need to be eating. And she basically, it was paleo is what she needed to be doing. Yeah. So
And a lot of
so
food.
she found out like all the nutrients she needed and then figured out what food she would need to get them from, and it was basically like a paleo diet. Just kind of cool, like it's cool to, yeah. And she went from being in a wheelchair to function, like walking and working. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's an amazing story. It's really, really inspirational. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, I don't know if this is like, I don't know, Gwyneth Paltrow just released this cookbook called It's All Good, and it's about like foods that are like, don't have allergens or whatever.
Yeah.
And there was a woman, I don't know why they let people write things for the Globe and Mail who were like this, but it was this terribly written, awful article.
It was just criticizing her.
It was criticizing her,
Yeah.
and it's fine, but it was sarcastic and inappropriate, and like, and at one point in this article, this woman who's writing for the Globe and Mail writes, yeah, I'm sure that's all my son with MS needs is to be gluten-free or whatever, and I'm like, oh my God, like,
exactly
it might not
MS
be all this kid needs, but it might help, like, but so closed off, but the whole article was terrible to begin with. It was like, just, I can't believe they.
And there was another guy on the radio, I think. Basically, he was a diet.
Close this again?
I know, it's okay. He was a dietitian, and basically criticizing, saying, hey, you famous people, you keep to your acting and let us tell people what to eat. Like you have no, like basically saying Gwyneth Paltrow has no right to tell you guys what to eat. But I'm sorry, dude, you are not doing a good job. Like people around you, we're obese, we have diabetes, we have cancer through the roof, we have all these lifestyle disorders.
And everything in her books are they're not like, she's not saying like she's saying I'm writing the recipes based on what doctors have told me I can eat or not eat, right?
But
like,
they're not doing a good job,
Yeah,
so someone's
yeah.
got to do it.
Yeah.
Someone has to, you know, look at, she's beautiful, like she's so healthy,
Yeah.
you know, I'll eat like her, you know what I mean? Like I'm not gonna eat like the dietitian who's either, you know.
But anyway, I just thought it was a terrible article anyway. But in that part, I just thought it's so sad that they're just so close to this whole possibility of things could be better. Like, you know, Terry Wells has this TED Talk that shows that she's reversed MS.
The body, like in that first
Or
quote.
manages it. It's not gone, it's still there. She's managing it. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. The body has an amazing ability to heal itself. Amazing ability to heal itself. And it's so funny, when women are pregnant, it's all about nutrition, right? Oh, I gotta make sure I'm growing this baby, I'm growing it. Well, the baby's still growing when it comes out of you, right? Like, why all of a sudden do you have to eat so well, and then when the baby starts to eat, they can eat Cheerios, which have negative nutrition in them. Negative nutrition, not just zero. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's really funny, and people get offended when we say, no, your baby still needs all those, like their brains are growing, our bodies are growing, and we're in flux too, right? So nutrition is really, really important. Alrighty, next week's on sleep. It's a good one.
I'm gonna go get.
Yeah, exactly.